Beginning in the summer of 441, the Middle Danube Basin, an area stretching from Italy's border with Slovenia, most of the way down to Greece and northwards into Hungary, found itself suddenly under attack. Rome may not have known it yet, but the empire's days were marked, and this was the beginning of the end. Already the once great Rome, which had dominated the western end of Eurasia and North Africa for the better part of a millennium, was fractured and broken. Britannia was gone, so too was modern-day Aquitaine in France, the empire was split between east and west, Africa was in flux, and Rome itself was no longer the imperial city. Now a new prince had arisen out there beyond the Danube. He came out of nowhere, sidestepped his way to the throne, succeeding his uncle. In the coming years, he will assassinate his brother and claim the kingship for himself, and his name will echo down the ages, as the barbarian at the gates. His people had journeyed in from the east, beyond any frontier Rome had ever known. They were the descendants of one of the most fearsome fighting forces Eurasia had ever seen up to that point, which terrified the Chinese Empire to its core and sparked the building of the Great Wall. These horsemen would be the most formidable mercenaries any kingdom could hire, from France to Persia, for centuries. These terrifying horse archers had scared an East Germanic people, the Vandals, clear off the continent, having forced them to evacuate from Poland and Belarus down through Spain and into Africa. Now the Vandals, after much upheaval, had come under the control of a powerful king, who laid siege to the ancient city of Carthage, sacking the city, hacking his own Vandal kingdom out of the reeling Roman Empire, and stamping the word vandalism into a dozen European languages. Both the eastern and western halves of Rome are forced to respond, and armies are dispatched, and, with the northern borders now unguarded, these two princes lay waste to an area roughly the size of California, demanding more from Constantinople than the 700 pounds of gold they were receiving every year as it was. For 9 months, they pillaged unopposed. More than 100 cities were annihilated. Margus, Sirmium, Serdica, Singidunum, Viminacium, and Naissus were simply destroyed, as well as probably hundreds of other, smaller, undefended villages that go unnamed in the sources. At Naissus, the city was entirely decimated, the entire population slaughtered, and would remain in ruin for the next century. This had been the birthplace of the Emperor Constantine, and it now lay in utter ruin. 7 years later, Priscus, a Roman diplomat and historian, described the banks of the river as being strewn with the bleached bones of the slain. The dead, it was said, could not be counted. But this was just the beginning. The Vandals would keep Carthage, be formally recognized, and even sack Rome itself in the years to come. Various factions of Goths, as well as Swabian Burgundians, would all want their piece of the Roman pie. And in the coming years, Attila, the king of the Huns, and the man who, in 9 short months, laid waste to what is today 10 European countries, would demand no less than a Roman empress and half the empire, and so terrify the Italian peninsula that the Pope himself would have to plead with this most dreaded of barbarians.